Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us for this beautiful live event. And around here in the Northern Hemisphere, we have a very cold weather, but let's hope that everything is going all right with everyone on the other parts of the world. And this day's topic, in general, I had the inspiration for how to remove negative influences from our lives. And this has many aspects, this question, like how to recognize this, how many types of influences we can have, and actually how the hell to remove them. And we would like to shed more light on these subjects so we can help potentially anyone. That I wanted to make a few announcements. Also, if you're interested in transmutation, alchemy, hermetic teachings, or philosophy, then please check out the book that I've published last year or two. It's the Teachings of Thoth, the Atlantean for the Dawn of the Space Age. It's a free ebook. You can find it in the description. And you can also download it. Oh, I don't have a good internet connection. Well, let's hope for the best. And yeah, like you can download it for free. Check it out in the description. And also, if you want to go deeper into more group activities or also channeling,
So
I recommend checking out our Patreon sections. We have a problem with our internet.
yeah, you're going out a lot. I'm noticing though, when I go to YouTube, I see that my image is streaming clearly. So it must be on your end, which is good that it's not actually affecting the live stream, but please go ahead and I'll let you know if I can't hear you.
Okay. So I won't be talking in vain.
Yes.
Okay, so let's hope for the best. So yeah, check out our Patreon community if you're interested. You will have access to all our recordings, all the meditations and channeling events for just like $4, I think. So if you're interested in more stuff, then please do check it out. And today we will further address the topic of how to remove negative influences from our lives. And we also have higher vibrations with us to guide and assist us through this process and to share her wisdom. Thank you for being here, high vibrations. And yeah, like let's start at the very beginning of like, there are two types. Okay, I see that I'm lagging a lot.
Yeah, you're going in and out.
Okay, that's not very good. Okay, so I will do my best, and if I manage to like mess it up or disappear, then please do continue to thread then.
Sure.
Okay. So basically, there are like two types of influences that we can have or recognize. First up is like you can have like negative influences in the physical, like maybe a person in your life, a family member or whomever, a friend. And there is the energetic aspect of it, which is far more subtle. And mostly I wanted to address that part since I don't really want to give advice on people like how to remove people from their lives or stuff like that. but rather like how to address the energetic aspect of that whole relationship that is like not working for you. And also like you will find when you're like addressing the energetic aspect of that whole unpleasant relationship that you can have with I don't know, like another person, or also energetically with like other beings, or maybe you have an attachment on you. And if you work that out, then you will also find that also your relationships in the physical will also shift as well. So first work with the subtle realms, work on yourself, and see how so your physical reality will shift the changes that have happened inside of you too. Okay, so please do reflect on that, higher vibrations.
So many things came through when you were speaking. Like the energy vampires is another term that a lot of people use for some of those individuals that just kind of
even in the non-spiritual community too.
yes, and I don't think that they do it on purpose exactly. It's the same kind of concept that a lot of these disconnected energies that we're talking about, like fourth dimensional frequency energies and stuff, or service to self energies, kind of feed off the fear pheromone concept. It's the same idea. It's that, you know, they don't really know how to connect and to get that life force from God. Exactly. They've disconnected themselves in some way. And so they're sucking it from individuals around them. And that can be a difficult situation if you're, like you said, if it's in the family, somebody you frequently need to interact with. And so there's a lot of things that we can, I don't know if we're at that part of the video today where we talk about the solution for those things just yet.
Oh, I want to leave that a bit further ahead.
And then there's also the projectors. And so this one is the one that affects me the most. Individuals, I remember early on when Guardian first started doing his live events, back when you had like 50 subscribers or something like that,
Yeah.
100 subscribers. That's so cool to watch you grow and expand. And we're talking about how, you know, these projectors, these very intense, aggressive energies of people that we interact with, affects people like us, like all of you, in a much stronger way than the typical individual. If someone is angry sending anger at me, I become weak. Like physically, I have a hard time holding up my legs. I end up falling over like a fainting goat. You know, it's just, which is not the most comfortable thing to have happen when someone's standing over you angry, just fall over, you know. But there's a lot of other reactions to projectors, and a lot of times, just to be aware, most of these projectors don't actually know that they're projecting at you. You know, I just recently had an experience with somebody that I needed to deal with in a very 3D way, and they became very upset, and I didn't realize that her upsetness, her projection, what causing the full length of the day. I was just feeling icky and weird and gross. At 11:57 p.m., which is probably when she went to sleep, it was gone all of the sudden, you know. And that's another example of that. Then you have things like energetic parasites or hijackers. Do you mind that I'm going on in this way? Is this the right time of the video?
I think so. Like,
Okay.
first off, yeah, like we can address, first off, I wanted to address what types of like attachments or negative influences there are. So that's great. And after that, like how to detect them. So first off, please do continue, like share what other types of like attachments or like hitchhikers you can get through your life.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so the energetic parasites and hitchhikers are kind of the same thing as far as I'm concerned. You know, everyone has their own words that define a thing to make it easier to understand and also to interact and work with. There's this experience that we have both in a physical way as well as an energetic way, where we are a multi-energetic body. So there's like a lot of parasites, a lot of other individuals or energies that are part of team body, you know. And as we are moving up in frequency, we're noticing that the other parts of this team body that were at one point we were vibrating at the same frequency, now as we're vibrating at a higher frequency, they're becoming a nuisance. And so we're noticing it's time to remove them, or we're starting to actually notice them, you know. And so a lot of times these energies are just benign. They're not going to cause you any harm until you notice that they just don't jive and they're not vibrating at the same frequency that you are. And so I bring that part up a little bit more because there's a lot of individuals right now, Guardian, that are reporting this. They're all of a sudden like, and in a panic about it, having wow, I'm doing all kinds of light show stuff. Look at me, I look like I have Tourette's.
It will be fun to see in the replay too.
And so as these energies are moving through, or as we're moving up in our energy frequency space, we're starting to acknowledge, to notice these other energies, and they're becoming a nuisance. And so that's when everyone is coming to this point now where that's like, well, it's time to do something about it. And then the last energy experience that I would really like to talk about is these energies that come in and they feel very much like a psychic attack. They're very uncomfortable and invasive feeling. And and they are invasive. However, I at this perspective that I'm in now, am happy to report that I've noticed each one of those psychic attacks, I'm making air quotes, is that, there you go, is has been something that has been a catalyst for me. It has propelled me in my spiritual awakening experience. A lot of these negative kind of things come in to let us know that we even have that spiritual muscle to begin with. You know, it's, you react to it and then it's like, oh, wow, I'm a sovereign being of light that is very empowered, and I can choose, I can remove consent or give consent to any and all interactions around me. And so it's, I think that whether that's the intention or not, it turns into a very beautiful and educational experience that helps us expand.
Yeah, like that's the whole key in how you can transform it, is actually use it to your advantage, to learn and to grow. That's a bit further down the line, but yeah. And yeah, like how to detect some of these negative influences over you. Like what are the signs, in your opinion, of how can you detect it? I think like the most telling one and the most apparent is like they are energetically draining. Like it's almost like you're leaking your life force, or it's like being siphoned away somewhere. And that's kind of the whole point of it, is that like also like you have, okay, like there are like these beings, these hitchhikers that also like get off and like feed off that energy because they don't have it. So they're like actually parasites. And also like some people can kind of go into that category too, like even if they're like not aware of like why they are, it brings them some types of satisfaction that they're like bringing people down or like hurting people. They're like, it gives them some kind of twisted pleasure. And basically that's kind of the same concept of like draining their life force, and they're feeding off of other people's energy basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good way to tell, the draining, the feeling like it, you can, and that's really why it's called that, the energy vampire experience, is that you feel it like it's as if someone's siphoning your very will to stay awake almost, and compel yourself to move forward. I Not everyone has this opportunity. However, for me, the best way, and this is the solution as well as the way to detect it, so I'm kind of combining it out of step a little bit here. Going into a place where I can be absolutely in my own energy. I mean, I went there with my kiddo. It's not like to say you're completely alone, removing yourself from society for a period, a weekend, you know, kind of a thing. Get into nature, or even a day. And once you get to this space where you're far enough away from society and all the different energies and things coming in, you get to find out what you feel like. Once you know what you feel like, then it's a lot easier to determine, decipher, to notice when energies are coming through that have nothing to do with you. I used to think that I had anxiety disorder, like severe, where I was getting ready to take some pretty hefty medication to resolve these issues. And then I got away from the city for a couple of days and it was like, I'm a peaceful, loving, happy, playful person, you know? And so that's one way to help to understand. And then after that, anything that comes through, you're like, that's not me. And even when it comes in, the first 3 seconds, I've given myself permission to not be responsible for. As an energy moves through, my knee-jerk reaction doesn't have to be what I decide to do after that. After that, it's like, this isn't my energy. I do some things that are solution-based that I know we're addressing later in this conversation.
Yeah, that's perfect too. Yeah. And basically the next step is like how to deal with it. Like we talked about, like recognizing it, how you can recognize these influences or unpleasant energies coming into your field. And yeah, like the second part that I also wanted to address in this whole process of resolving this issue and finding a remedy for that solution is that first of that you had to realize that these circumstances were co-created. So basically they are there to send you a message to assist you to grow. And basically you have to recognize that this whole circumstance that you have, maybe with it or whatever type of relationship you can have that is negative, is basically was co-created. It was agreed upon. You have a type of contract to have that in your life, basically. And basically that's the way you can also get rid of it and change it, because you have created that, you have attracted that in your life, maybe consciously or unconsciously. Like most of it is unconscious because we wouldn't want to have that stuff in our life. Right. But now that you know that it is there, then you can consciously create a new circumstance and move beyond it, basically.
Right. Exactly. And also, as it's once you understand what's happening, just it's in the moment. This is my experience. Once we realize this is a separate thing, this is not what your experience, this is someone else's spin that's happening, then it doesn't have to apply to us.
I'll be right back. I'm going to get some internet, but please do continue.
Okay, I will do. And so after we understand that this is like the thing that's happening over there, that they're kind of doing their gig, and also that soul contract concept isn't designed for us to feel like we're required, we're forced, we have no way out kind of a thing. It's a partnership. It's not plugged in, that's why. It's a partnership of interactions, of experiencing together that can be chosen against. Like you can decide later on, it's like, okay, we're not really, this isn't something that we want to participate in. And so we can remove these contracts as well. So you're not a victim of circumstance. However, these contracts exist as a way of unlocking. The way I look at it, I see it as a series of concentric rings, kind of like what the images, I guess, that they show of what they think about someone had decided that Atlantis looked like. And we start from within in the center. And each of those rings has a gate of some sort. And those gates we close. We chose to close those because until we are ready to be in that next ring of experience, we won't be able to open the gate. But we open the gate ourselves. You open the gate yourself for this experience as you come through. So just to understand too, that these things are set in place to help us. If you're noticing that it's causing you distress, often this is another thing. I used to think, okay, this is a soul contract, so I have to just keep doing this sucky thing. Part of the soul contract that I was really believing that in was actually me learning to stand up, stand in my power and say no. Like that I was just being the victim and doing it and whatever, this is supposed to happen. And no, and then I had a series of things that were very similar come through to kind of remind myself and to teach myself how powerful I am, how powerful you are, that how capable, and so all of these things are put the way that they are for a reason. And so whatever your heart tells you, that's the best part, using your own spiritual discernment to figure out why you're in this space, and then you can understand how to move forward in that.
Yeah, and I also found throughout my journey and also interacting with other people on the same journey is that basically all of us, like light workers, healers, starseeds, like however you want to label yourself, like we all are born into these situations that are like not necessarily unpleasant. Like I don't think that any of us had like a very idealistic childhood or family background. And yeah, we attracted a lot of unpleasant stuff throughout our lives, but not for the reason to, like to feel sorry for ourselves or to be like victims in those situations. And when you start to like work through it, then you like realize that, hey, like I've agreed to those circumstances, so I can like bring some kind of remedy to those solutions. Because like most of us are exploring problems or difficulties that are like very much, many people are experiencing those, like family issues, like abuse or whatever you want to call it, or a lot of stuff. We all had it. And basically we attracted those experiences in our lives so we can transform it within ourselves. so we can find a solution to those problems, and through that we can also help others too. Like it always like reminds me of I think I've seen some kind of show of like losing a lot of weight or something, but it's kind of also similar to like when people who had like alcohol abuse and like come together in a group and like talk about it so they can like deal with the whole process of like letting it go and moving beyond. And usually I think the people that help the most are actually people who have already like went through it and like resolved that stuff in themselves. So basically they're like not preaching to you from the top of the mountain. They're just kind of a bit more ahead than you are. And the whole process of letting go and finding a solution to your problem. And basically we came in to help in that way, at least many of us, I think.
Yeah. And, you know, I have the unique gift of having my first near-death experience was when I was 4. And there were a few things that I brought back with that have continued to assist in when my experience as well as others. One of those few, one of the main ones is that I had the plan was that I was to die then and I was to reincarnate 8 years later. Like that was the plan. And then I was given the chance to stay instead and say, okay, here's this new mission. Basically, you want to do this. There was a few criteria involved. And in that I picked from a huge pile of trauma. I picked these trauma and I remember looking back at it not too long ago, actually, too, throughout my life, being like, why was I so arrogant that I picked so many things, like what a jerk I was, you know what I mean? Like,
what were you thinking?
I know. And knowing in that space that each of those traumas that I picked, somebody had to pick them up because someone has to heal through them in order for all things that were similar and related to all be healed as well. So as everyone individually and collectively speaking, heal through a trauma, a thing that you experienced in your childhood, in your adult life, whatever, you're healing for the collective. And that release and relief and the swelling of that just gratitude, love that happens when that healing completes itself is such a profound experience, and it's just such a joy. And so that's something to keep in mind as well, is that, it's not simply that we're attracting these things because we're like a flame in their moth. It's also that we chose these things in order to transmute them. I think also too, at the same time, it's meant for us to show transmutation's possibility to those around.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like also like the whole like Christ came into my mind of like we created a religion around these teachings and all that, but basically like he came in to like show the way that, hey, like you can do this too,
Yeah.
And show you the way of like what humanity is capable of, rather than just like circulating or like doing all the same stuff over and over again. Like we are also here to show that, hey, like you can move beyond all those stuff. Like you can choose to be different or do things differently. You don't have to repeat over and over the same problems. But yeah, it takes a lot of work and courage to stand up for yourself and do the work, basically, because it can be a lot of work.
Yes. There's one more thing to be said as well about the soul contracts before I forget, is that, each one of these things, interactions, things that we have in our experience, all are soul contracts, even the smallest ones. And what's cool too is there's always these backup contracts. So like there's a series of dominoes. The use of the symbol of dominoes regarding free will is really common when I get these visions. And so that's why I use it so much. Free will is a domino, and each domino needs to strike in the correct order before that thing to occur. So once all the dominoes are in line, then maybe it's not going to be Paul, but it's going to be Phil who cuts me off in traffic. Why did he cut me off in traffic? There's something important about that triggers something, that creates something. The randomly walking through the crowd and catching someone's eye in that interaction, that exchange of energy light, And then when you meet them later on, you see them later on at the grocery store, they've exchanged that same light love across the board. And like, it's a domino effect of improving everyone's experience. There's a variety of examples, but just to say that this is something that occurs across the board, and there's also the interaction with some less than happy or easy to explain kind of stuff, like the psychic, the attack kind of stuff, the kind of creepy in the night stuff that a lot of us get,
Like,
and
there is a ladybug crawling up on my cord.
wow. I think that's a symbol of love. I'll have to look it up. That is really cool.
Okay. So yeah, so basically people were cutting you off in traffic.
Yeah, and just that whatever it is, that exchange is a required or something that I need in order to propel me to the next phase of my development, and so just to know these soul contracts aren't simply, profound experiences where they're really intense experiences. The ladybug totem brings good fortune to the bearer and a passion for seeing love in the world around you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
The one thing that most people earlier on in their awakening experience is they feel that there's a lot of, when you start to wake up, when you start to join the energy around you, you start to see and feel some spooky, creepy in the night kind of stuff, and that's where a lot of us feel like we're not empowered, we're not in control of our experience. And I before this call started, I went and got this particular thing, and I'm going to put it in the chat right now. It's Kadosh, 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 Adonai Symbio. Guardian always refers to this, so I'm just opening that topic and presenting the spelling for you there.
Yeah, like that's an awesome tool. When like shit hits the fan, this is something very easy that you can like bring up and like shift the whole energy around that experience and bring in the heavy cavalry to like get you out of a nasty situation, especially like during the night times when you're like, you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like dizzy and disoriented, half asleep. Then in that state is like very difficult to, it's flying away. Okay. So
you can make a wish.
Yeah, I wish for world peace. I don't know.
Let it be so.
Okay. So yeah, like in the middle of the night when you wake up and you're like so disoriented, like it's very difficult to focus and like center yourself and do some kind of proclamation or meditation to remove stuff that you don't want to have. So this is an awesome tool that you have at your disposal that you can use at any time. And its sole purpose is like to supercharge your vibration and call in your higher vibrational team, basically. And they are there to help you and assist you. And I think it also kind of works like I wouldn't say like a plea for help, but something like that, that you're calling out to the higher realms that, hey, I need your help here with something. And they come in very quickly. So it's super effective.
Yes. And I've had the same experience. It feels like a special ops team kind of coming down on zip cords in the middle of the night. It's like poof, and then it's like this reverberation of light that just kind of just rings that go through and they go, and that's I believe that that's there as a way to show you how powerful that you are, and I also posted the link for it's a cappella of female voices that is doing this chant. This is a tool that Guardian gave to me. I wanted to bring this example up because like I was having a lot of stuff going on. And it happens through different phases of your awakening. Okay. And so if it's happening to you, it doesn't mean you're in the beginning or anything like that. And as these energies were coming in, like a lot of times you don't, like our Guardian had said, you don't really, you're too tired, you're not really with it. So you're not fully capable to use your mental capacities at that time. However, having played this in the background for some time, you kind of get it ingrained in your mind, and it's like a knee-jerk response. You can just do it on autopilot. And it's a way to show you that you're powerful and to remove you from the fear. What they're looking for is to produce that fear, and so if there's a reason for you to feel like that they're not of love and light, and you're more conscious, however, all I find it's very, very, very powerful and effective is to send love to it. When I send love, and I don't mean like I love you by kind of just that, just it's that, man, I just love that person. I just really want that person to do well. And wow, that I don't know how else to explain it. Just that I just love you, that kind of light that comes out, that you can feel it leaving your pores from the front of your body when you send it. That same energy, send that to what's in front of you. I've had examples where I've heard of people yelling, shouting in anger, I love you, and that worked though. It worked, it took a little bit more effort, though it still worked. And if they are of love, they will answer back with love, and so much love. Honestly, every time it causes tears, because I'm just so filled with love. It's just like, oh, it's so pretty. And then if they aren't of love, they will flee. For shadow cannot stand before the light, and light is love and love is light. So that's another really powerful tool to use in those experiences, as well as before going to sleep, filling up your bubble. We all have like this little film around our body of light energy that kind of contains stuff. Breathing in through with God's light, and then breathing through your nose, and then breathing out through your mouth with love to expand that bubble before you go to sleep also assists.
Yeah, like doing protection and clearing before going to bed is like a must if you're sensitive.
Yeah.
Like these things can happen to anyone, like don't have to be a spiritually aware person. Like people who like refuse to believe in these types of stuff, or that like such things can even happen, like they are the same way exposed to it just as we are. We're just like more sensitive to it and can recognize it more. But yeah, like that empowers you to actually do something about it or with it. Like we're just like, not, you don't have to be like the victim of circumstances. You actually have a say in it and actually can do something with that experience. Mm-hmm. And transform it in a way that it's actually serving your best interest, or it's benefiting you in whatever shape or form. And yeah, like this is where the third part comes in that I wanted to share. So basically, just as we have attracted those circumstances or these influences in our lives, we can also remove them in a very similar way by like breaking that contract. And there are like multiple ways of doing it. Like the more quicker and more clearer is to basically like state your intent that you want to discontinue this interaction. You don't want to participate. You don't give your consent to what is happening, and that they should leave, because like you have consciously stated that you don't want to take part in that, whatever that may be. And the other part is what higher vibrations said, that basically change your own vibration. And by raising your own vibration, maybe in that situation or in general, is basically doing the same stuff, because that you're moving out of that sphere where they can exist or do something to you, yeah, or to have whatever type of influence over your energy. And the best remedy basically to these situations is to constantly work on yourself, to better yourself and to raise your vibration, because basically that way you're becoming immune to those types of negative attachments or attacks, because you're simply not vibrating on that level where that can happen to you. Yeah. Like I don't say that I'm like perfectly like okay from that front, but I'm more above it than I was like 2 or 3 years ago. So I think in the past 2 years, I haven't really had any of those types of experiences, but it took me quite a few years of figuring it out and how to shift my own energy too. But I also think it has like a lot to do that I mostly learn more to stand in my power. And I also like had many experiences where I wouldn't say like witness, more like I experience like what I can actually do and like what I'm capable of. And instead of like trying to believe in it or doubting it, like I know, like there is no doubt in my mind about like what we're capable of and what I can do. So whenever like something happens that, okay, like there's like no shred in my mind that I would not be able to handle this or do something with it. And yeah, like most of the time, like these lower vibrational energies, like they wouldn't want to deal with someone like that. Like that's kind of what I found, because basically they're like bullies and they thrive in that environment when they have a victim. And when they want to, I know, like siphon someone energies or like put someone into fear, we can like totally like repel them or remove them in a blink of an eye. Then I think they don't really want to go there because they're basically not ready to interact in that sphere. Like basically they're not about that. Like they're like in this like prey and predator mentality. And like when they are not the predator, then they don't like that stuff. So
Right. And there's another side to that too, that's been fun to explore and understand, is that and the way I see it, it actually came through to bring it up by the image of seeing that scene in the Little Mermaid, that old, I don't even know if anyone these days even know what that movie is. Anyway, at one point she's talking to the octopus lady, and there's all these like little trapped souls, these little
oh yeah, like
creatures that
that
are,
sea witch or something.
yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
It I saw a very, very long time ago. Anyway, a lot of these energies that, not all of them, but a lot of the energies that come through that are like boogeyman feeling and bad guy kind of feeling, they feel creepy and bad. They're actually these like lost or trapped souls. And
Yeah, I
this
wanted
is a
to
true
address
thing.
that too. Yeah,
Okay,
like
sorry.
okay, like
Am I out
please
of
do.
turn?
No, no, no. Like I also wanted to address that. So there are like many beings that are like not necessarily like malevolent and like want to suck your life force away or something. They're just like disembodied people or like beings who don't really know what's happening and they're just attracted to your, I know, like your substance abuse, or maybe you're addicted to cigars or something, and they're attracted to that light that your addiction is giving off. And that's an also very interesting topic. So please do go
Right.
into it.
There's also another side to that, that I found as well, and that they're attracted to your light, and your light is their way out. You know, like it's kind of a joke now in my mind, that because you see all these older movies and stuff, they're like, go to the light. What they're saying is, go to Guardian. You know what I mean? Like, and so you end up attracting all of these energies because you're their way out. And they don't really know exactly what that, you know, a lot of it, many of my experiences, these energies, these souls have been in this, you would, I guess if you try to use like a religious word, you'd call it a limbo. And these individuals aren't, what it is there's something that they're holding on to. Every one of them have this in common. They're all holding something that they won't put down, you know, and that thing that they have not been able to release or let go of is keeping them here, you know. And so while they come into our experience, by sending them that light, by providing this funnel, this space where light is like this roadway, they're able to, as they move toward it, it's really a cool, it's a beautiful experience to watch these things fall away from them. And I've interacted with some energies that have been in limbo for a long enough time that they're more animal-esque, like they're creepy movie people kind of things, like moving like animals and stuff. And that sounds so creepy. However, as soon as I realized I needed to present the light, and you know, they were so creepy, I didn't want the light to be in me, so I started to do it beside me. And as they moved into it from that perspective, I got to see what happened. Instead of coming to me, they were going right here, and I could see them move into their original form from when they, the form that they were, what they felt like they looked like or whatever before they had passed away. And the wave of gratitude, of of freedom, of joy, of relief as they move through and out, and so you don't have to do this. If you don't want to do this service to these energies, you don't have to, and you can send them away and go find the light. They'll find somebody. There's a lot of
like go find it somewhere else.
yeah. You can definitely do that.
Yeah, like especially in the beginning, like this is some advanced stuff, because like first you have to learn to hold your own energy, because some cases you can like be overwhelmed with what you're presented with, and then you can also go into a fear mode or some unpleasant place, and you're not helping them either with that, basically, if you freak out about what you see or what you experience. I also had like a few of those experiences of like very twisted beings of like coming in to, and I kind of recognized like they're not there to like, I don't know, like to have a negative influence over me. They're just there to, okay, like they want to leave, and like I can help them with that if I want to. And I remember, I think it was like 3 years ago when I started my YouTube channel, and I think I was alone at home in the middle of the night. I'm not sure why it needs to happen then. It always happens
right?
during the night. Like it's so crazy.
Almost every
like why? Yeah, like why can't they come when it's like nice and shiny outside? Like
well, I'm well rested.
Yeah. Okay, so I was like alone in the middle of the night home, and we had a corridor like connecting our different rooms. And I think I've seen it more like mentally, that there is some kind of movement of like someone or something that is not as tall as I'm, just coming from one part of the corridor to the other, like moving up and down. I was like, okay, like do we really have to deal with this right now? And okay, like I went into this centered state. I like set up some boundaries and called on Archangel Michael. Like, okay, like please help me with this. And the way I do it is like I call them forth to present themselves, so you don't hide. They don't hide or anything. No one is as tall as Guardian. Okay, like I'm part from Sirius when they're like 3 meters high, so that's why you can't get very much taller than this as you're a human. Okay, so basically I was calling them forth to stand in front of me, so they're no longer hiding. 1 second. And basically, I think there was like 3 of them that presented themselves in front of me, and they were like these very twisted beings. I think they maybe one time they were like something like a gray, but it felt like almost like they looked like they almost like died and were like twisted and like resurrected, and they were very twisted, like how they looked and appeared. And also they had a very nasty energy to them too. So when I said like, okay, like come forth and present yourself in front of me. And they just like pop in front of me, and I'm like, oh my God, like, oh my goodness, like, what is this? And yeah, like that's the part when you have to hold your energy to not freak out. And yeah, like I asked, I think I worked with Archangel Michael on that, to like bring forth that energy to release them. And it just took a couple of seconds, basically. And basically all that twisted energy that looked like them started to like dissolve and like disentangle, basically. And they become this like free sparks of light, like free balls of light, which I think was their true essence. And all that like excess energy and all that twisted crap around them just dissolved, because it was like not them any longer. And I also felt that intense sense of gratitude as they were like moving up into the light, and they were like, okay, like thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, like similar stuff happened. Like I think this was one of the more intense ones, but similar stuff happened to this later on too.
That's pretty common. There's so many different energies, and they're all connected. And that's something else too. I feel like that a lot of it is not just ancestral relation, but soul relation. We have connections to a lot of energies, and they kind of come to us because we're family or close friends and stuff. You segued into another topic that I actually wrote down, if you don't mind me.
Okay.
Also ET experiences, visitation of ET experiences. I just kind of wanted to bring that up only and to say that a lot of us have these and have been having these for longer than we even realize. And in my experience and my understanding of these things that are occurring is that, you know, these are our lineage, our soul lineage, you know, individuals coming in to help realign us and things like that. There's a lot of cool and awesome stuff that's occurring. And many of us don't have much recollection of it for the very reason that it will, you know, shock us or alarm us. We're not ready for it or whatever. I bring that up because for the longest time, I always understood ETs coming in the night was a bad thing. Those are the bad guys kind of thing. And, you know, sure.
That's what you see in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I would, this is my own assessment. I would say that there definitely are some, you know, ETs that aren't service to others oriented. However, only I would say about 2 or 3% of all of the population of all the ET races that interact with us are not there for our good, or that are present to cause us some kind of harm. And so just making that aware, making yourself aware of that they're a lot of times coming to you in service of you, and by assisting you and serving you, assisting the collective. You know, I'm noticing what these interactions have become for me have been it's not just a realignment with that with energy and stuff like that. It's as if there's an assistance to help purge toxins that I've collected along my journey in this lifetime, whether it be through the air that I breathe, the water that I drink, the food that I've eaten. You know, a lot of these toxins will stay in our body for a very long time. And so there's this assistance right now happening across the board for a lot of individuals where they're just helping us to purge these things, you know. And so as a result, many people are actually having flu-like symptoms too, like stomach flu kind of symptoms and stuff, purging, stuff's leaving your body, you know, weird acne and stuff like that. Just noticing toxins trying to escape your physical form in whatever way they can, you know. And I've noticed that the frequency of interactions, of contact with these realignment teams, ET wise, is always most always in alignment with also a period of purging, or I need to stay near to a bathroom for a while, as an example.
Okay, I haven't noticed that before. Yeah, that's interesting. And also, like, regarding when they usually come during the nighttime when we sleep, or at 3 a.m., like that's their soft spot. And yeah, like many of them can appear like scary or strange, because like not all of them are this like super love and light energy, but that doesn't mean that they're bad just because they're like not this angelic type of energy.
Yeah.
Like some of them are like they have this incredible overwhelming energy to them, like emotionally, almost like this very intense like Christ consciousness type of energy to them. Especially like in my experience, the Pleiadians radiate that very strongly. I still can't stand their presence. Like it puts me to tears.
Yeah.
It happens very rarely. Like it's very strange because they came in at the beginning of my journey, and they were like, oh wait, they always came in when I was like in a very low state, and like something really bad was happening in my life, and they come into, okay, like pull yourself together and move forward.
Right.
They always came in at those parts. But yeah, like many of them can feel very strange because they have a different emotional body than we do. Like they experience and see things differently than we do. And many of them don't even, like some of them have like evolved beyond like where we are, obviously. So they're going to function in a different way mentally and energetically and emotionally too. And some of them don't even have like energy bodies and emotional bodies as we do. So that's even more strange, or like maybe like insectoids or reptilian energies, like they don't have an emotional body as mammals do. So that can be also like a freak out factor for some people because it feels so strange,
Yeah.
because it's so different. And yeah, like they're just different, like they function a different way than we are and what we are used to.
Mhm.
And yeah, like you absolutely have to like work out your fear factors and like where do you stand in life,
Yep.
because like when you're in those situations, like if you have some, I know, like stuff that you need to work out on yourself, like if you have some kind of fears, that's probably going to come up in those situations. And yeah, like take it as a initiation into the higher realms, like just the shamanic initiations. Like also the first step in that initiation is to learn to overcome your fears and to so you will be able to navigate in the spirit world, basically, as they interpret it.
Right.
Because if you bring your fears there into that high vibrational scenario, then you will just basically amplify it and attract more of that back in your experience. That's why you have to leave it there in the free day before you move forward.
Right. Right. And all of these things are there to shine light on the shadows so you may see what it is. The beginning, God's like, hey, dude, I want to experience, let's expand. And so the expansion happened, and I see it every time. The visual I see is a rolling out of like it looks like almost like a cinnamon roll without all the stuff in the middle. To roll it out, then the light source is on this side and it rolls all the way out. And the farther from the light it goes, the more that there's shadow. And the more that there's shadow, the more you're able to see the texture and experience what it truly is. And what's occurring now is we're coming back, we're pulling back to it again, and we're getting closer and closer to the light. And as we do that, with the shadows are being enveloped by this light. And so these energies, these ETs, all these different things that are coming through for us is to show us, look, that's there. Like you said, so if your fears or whatever, maybe you didn't know those fears were even a part of your existence. And they're like, see, this is here you go. And they're there to help you, and I totally agree. Those ones that are just so far away from their emotion base are jarring for me. It's just like, it almost feels like AI, almost. It's just kind of like, oh, it's just kind of a weird experience. And it's kind of fun because that is where we've come from. We are also, many of us come from this place where we aren't so connected to our emotion, which is, I believe, why we're so affected by people who are very loud in their emotion, especially like we said, the aggressive emotion people and stuff like that. For us, it's like, we don't know what to do. Like, why are you doing that? And a lot of these guys are the same way, and they're trying to translate to us, but at the same time presenting themselves to show you, to shine the light on your fears. They say that there's a period of time in our awakening that's called the dark night of the soul, and I'm always corrected by spirit saying that that's actually the light being shown on the soul. It's going into the attic where all of the stuff is hidden in the corners, that the cobwebs, the piles of crap that you haven't put away or whatever, and a beautiful bright light expands in that space. It's like, oh, I got to clean up in here, and that's really all it is. It's not meant to be hard. It's not meant to be cause you disharmony. It's simply, look, this is what you have, and in your time maybe you can address these things. And so, we naturally are compelled to do so. And one of the solutions, by the way, I know this isn't the topic, but shadow work, inner child work, and shadow work will really help you through that if you're in that experience right now.
Yeah, like that's I think that's the most potent way you can like overcome these situations. Like not just with having ET experiences, just in general, like filtering out the unpleasant stuff. Is like work on yourself. And the less crap that you have inside of yourself, then basically the less you will attract that back into your experience. Like that's the best way and like consistent way of like overcoming that, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all that it is. It's just meant to, it's like, it's bringing everything up to the surface. There's something else that I wanted to point out. I don't know why, because it's just but the 3 a.m. period of time, 3 a.m. is a very common, I saw throughout the chat, two people talking about being woken in the night, and often it's at 3 a.m. There's several things however, the one that keeps coming in for me is there's a thing called the Taos hum. And they've named it that because that was where they first discovered it, was in some place named Taos. I don't remember what country it is or anything like that. Anyway, at 3 a.m., no matter where you are on the planet, at the 3 a.m. point, wherever you are, the earth hums. And they don't know why, which I think is awesome. It makes it even cooler. I've been noticing it since I first started to really hear it after the solar eclipse we had in 2017. I think it was in August. And like every single night around that time, it's almost a vibration of the planet. And I've always understood it as like the Lumerians within kind of communicating with us. But I don't know exactly what it is. At that same time, it's a very active time for spirits. You know, I remember growing up, they called it the witching hour. So if you ever did a seance, you know, that was when you would
that's
do
how
it.
we know it, the witch's hour.
Right. You know, and so, and then also that at that time, often we're woken to decide, do you want to engage in this interaction with your spirit guides, with your higher self, whoever's present, or you want to go back to sleep? Honestly, most of the time, I'm just like, but why did you have to wake me up at all? Because obviously I'm going back to sleep, you know, like that you can decide and choose in that. One thing that I have found that's been really assisting for me, especially earlier on, is that when I wake in that time, that window of time, to have something nearby to record. I could use an audio recorder, I could with my phone, or I could just take a note. And that's when you're the most clear and open channel. And so if you do have questions or need some kind of guidance, that would be the time to do it for sure.
Yeah, like most of the time, in my experience too, like if you wake up and you sense something strange, or you have the sensation that maybe your guides are there or someone is there, like it's the same stuff that, hey, like they're letting you know that if you want to engage with them in some kind of activity, yeah, like you can do it. But if you don't want to, then basically they will leave. So they're just waving at you like, hey, like we're here. I guess you want to sleep tonight again or something.
Right.
That's usually what I choose to. But yeah, like in some nights they can be more pushy. Like if they want if they want to get something across, like if it's something important. But yeah, like it's pretty interesting. Yeah, like the stuff that I heard about like 3 a.m. is that our like pineal gland produces the most DMT at that time, I think. And that's why we're like perceiving those weird stuff more, because our brain naturally produces those hormones that are enabling us to perceive more of an expanded reality.
Interesting.
And they also did some research
whether or
on
not
that.
you're awake? Sorry.
I'm not sure. Yeah, like you can have that experience even if you're awake. Like if you induce DMT into your system in a different way. Like I heard, I'm not sure, like it was in Harvard University. I'm not sure like where they did these studies on like many people of like in like some clinical environment, they introduced DMT into their system and like see what happens basically. And like most of the people kind of described the same experiences of like seeing these very strange beings, like anthropomorphic beings, like coming in, like trying to interact with them. I found it so funny that one of them were saying like, oh, we're so happy that you finally discovered this technology. We can finally talk to you.
That's funny.
Yeah, like they're kind of always there. We just can't really hear them or like perceive them. And like many of us are also ignoring them consciously.
Yeah. I tend to get in this I natural sleep cycle thing for us is that during the winter we stay awake later and then wake up later, and then in the summertime we're waking up like literally a few hours earlier than, or just a few hours after the time that we would be going to bed in the wintertime. I say that to tell you that typically right now I'm staying up until 2:30 in the morning, and I'm still waking up at 3 o'clock, like, you know, and with experience happening, you know, and it's just like, to me, it's just, it's fascinating. It doesn't matter how long of sleep how long I've been asleep. And though I find that if I've only been asleep for a short time leading into the 3 a.m. window, I end up doing a lot more like sleepwalking kind of stuff at 3 o'clock. Like I literally, I kind of have a vague recollection of getting out of bed, though I've become fully aware of myself standing outside or standing in the kitchen, and it's the weirdest thing. And that's always at 3 a.m. as well. So I don't know. Very
Yeah,
fascinating.
I had a few of those too. I think like two mostly, when
Yeah.
like waking reality just blended in seamlessly into something very surreal. And it
Yeah.
usually like had to do like I woke up probably around 3 a.m. I went to the bathroom, and when I came back and laid back in my bed, I didn't really have that sense of like going back to sleep. It just like smoothly transitioned to something very weird like happening while I in my mind I was just in the bathroom when I just got back in my bedroom, and these weird stuff are happening, and it's like so real.
Yeah. Yeah. This was the first time I experienced these little, I don't know, you can they're kind of gnome like goblin-y, I don't know what to call them, these little characters, these little
I'm
guys,
not
they're like just
sure.
they I that's when I started to use smudging and stuff. I didn't clean my energy before that, and or my space, and they would hang out around the window of my bed, and
Mhm.
I would be compelled to leave, noticing them at 3 a.m. and then come back and they're still there. Now I'm fully conscious. And it's like, these little guys are like, what is up? And they're not, they're just mischievous, and they'd pull your hair, and I would wake up with these weird, like my hair was taken and tied and like this, like all over. It was really weird.
Or there's some kind of like fairy stuff, or I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't deal with those energies.
they're pranksters. I found them when I was nearer to it didn't start happening till I was closer to a forest. So anyway, it's kind
Probably
of
they
funny.
are, yeah. Okay, so in closing, Doug, do you wish to announce your not live events,
My
your
Zoom
Zoom
meeting.
meetings that you have? Yeah, exactly.
Yes, please. Thank you. So tomorrow I haven't put up a post. I will not too long after we're done with this. Tomorrow we are meeting at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, uh, uh, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that lasts for 3 hours. So you can join late, leave early. You're not required to have your camera on or your audio on. This is just a place, just like Guardian and I are talking now, only with a larger group. And, just a place that you can utilize your truth and activating your throat chakra and doing that. A lot of our throat related stuff has to do with us keeping quiet. And so the services is available. Guardian also has a Patreon that's even cooler. It's like super private. Mine, because it's free, people can come whenever they want. Guardians is more exclusive because there is a charge, but it's a very small charge. It's like $4, isn't it?
It's $11 if you want to join the Zoom meetings.
Oh, okay. But still very, and that's only that's only once per month that you pay that. There's also, he does channelings, he has some really awesome meditations. Every month there's something awesome cool going on. So if you're not interested in joining mine, look into his. And one more thing, Guardian, before I forget, because I got reminded, Guardian has an audio book, and it's also a written book.
Oh yeah.
Thoth the Atlantean. I wanted to bring that up specifically to draw your attention to the Book of Spells. In the Book of Spells, there is a particular, the unlocking of mind and body. Is that right? What's it called?
I think it's called The Key to Freedom of Mind.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
This one, I've never ever been able to remember the title of that one. I don't know what the deal is. That one in particular, I found that as powerful in empowering self, propelling self forward, as that Kadosh Adonai symbiote. It is a different level of it. And so all of them are, and it's 1:11 p.m. here, by the way. So those are great resources. I think you can click on an icon on your home screen, can't you, on your YouTube channel to get to that
Yeah,
book?
like you can get to the audio book. It's in the front of my YouTube channel. So if you go to my YouTube channel, that's the first thing that you're going to see. You can listen to it. It has beautiful music, and you can listen to the sound of my voice for more than an hour.
That's awesome. You did a really good job at it. And so it's a
Thank you.
beautiful
It was a lot
resource.
of work. It was a lot of work, and I'm happy it's done.
Well, thank you for doing it, and thank you for your service. It's been very useful for many people. I've had a lot of conversation with individuals who've utilized that. Thank you.
I will also have to have some conversations with you guys regarding that, so to get some feedback about it. Okay. So yeah, like regarding High Vibrations YouTube channel, you can go to her YouTube channel. It's in the title of this video. You have a link there, and you can go directly to her community page and find a link there.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, High Vibrations, and
Thank you.
hope to see everyone.